2 minutes, guys.
How much?
2 minutes? 2 minutes out.
She's got a call back there.
Hey, I need to you for routed for the Asheville president. Thank you. Yep.
Good afternoon, by Mayor Esther Mannheimer. They're going to answer questions, but if you'll please hold them till the end of the press conference. Thank you. City Manager.
Good afternoon, and thank you for being here. I am Deborah Campbell, and I serve as the City Manager for the City of Asheville. I want to provide a brief update on our water recovery situation. But before I begin, I also want to acknowledge other staff that are here that may be invited up to speak if necessary. So considering where we were last week, significant progress has been made, mostly in the southern part of the city and county. We know that portions of our western service area do not have full service and right now aren't feeling the benefits of this progress. We want to assure you that we are continuing to work as hard and as fast as possible to restore service to people and businesses on the west side. So here's the update from our Water Resources Department. We continue to address the remaining outages in the western service area. Overnight, there was a significant increase in water volume in the western service area water tanks. The last large storage tank is now filling. These tanks are now at a level that will begin to normalize pressure for the western Buncombe service area. Additional areas continue to be restored to water service. The following areas are currently in the process of being restored or should come online as pressure returns to the system. Shaladin, Erin High School area, Mount Carmel, Monte Vista Road and surrounding areas, Dogwood Road and surrounding areas. These areas may experience service and pressure fluctuations as full service is restored. The boil water advisory remains in effect for the western Buncombe service area. The Water Department continues to test for water quality at multiple points throughout the system every day. At this time, results show no evidence of bacteria. If you are in the western service area, please continue to boil water for consumption until you receive an AVL alert notifying you that you're no longer under an advisory. And I ask my staff, you can take a shower, but please, please don't consume the water. For those still without water, delivery efforts continue. If you need water for drinking and hygiene purposes, please call Water Customer Service at 828-251-1122. Again, 828-251-1122. To date, 2,800 individuals have received water deliveries. Buncombe County has drinking water and non-potable water available for pickup at Inca Candler Fire Station number 2 off of I-40 exit 37 on Smoky Park Highway and West Buncombe Fire Station Number 1 from 8 until 5 until further notice. In closing, I want to apologize for communicating a service restoration timeline that we were not able to achieve. We thought we would have service restored by last Friday, and although we made a lot of progress, we were unable to bring back service to all parts of our community. We wish we could be more precise and will be working to enhance our real-time information moving forward. While we acknowledge that there is room for improvement, I also want to note that I have full confidence in the abilities of our current Water Department staff to effectively address this situation. I will now invite Mayor Esther Mannheimer to provide additional details on next steps in our response efforts and after-action planning.
Good evening. I am joined here this evening with our Vice Mayor, Sandra Kilgore, and also council members Shanika Smith and Antoinette Mosley. Not all council members were able to be here tonight, but the ones that are here are standing up here with me. So first, I want to begin by apologizing to everyone who has experienced an outage during this water crisis. I also want to apologize to those folks who are still experiencing an outage. We, as the managers mentioned, we are finalizing and completing water restoration to all customers, but there are a few folks that are still without water, so we want to sincerely apologize to them. Some of them happen to be my husband's students at Inca High School. He and I talked just before this press conference, and he told me he had a few students that reported not having water. So again, we're working around the clock to restore water service to all customers. I also want to take an opportunity to thank the community. We've had a lot of folks that have opened their doors, offered showers to folks. We have partner agencies that have jumped into action, and of course our city staff who have been working around the clock to restore service. Some of the key agencies that have partnered with us in this include Buncombe County, the North Carolina 211 system, the YMCA of Western North Carolina, the Buncombe County Fire Departments, Ingalls, and the Metropolitan Sewage District. All those folks have chipped in and helped us out. And I'm sure there are others that we're not even aware of that we want to thank as well. Please know that we deeply care about our residents' well-being and the impacts of this outage has had on you, your families, and also to our business community. This has affected many folks in our business community. We also want to thank all of you who have taken on conservation efforts to help your neighbors. What we're talking about here is the time-intensive process of recharging a system, rebuilding pressure in a system, and what that means is a lot of people needed to conserve water so that water could build back in the system to fully restore regular pressure, regular water for all customers in the system. So with the southern area now fully restored, the last focus, as Deborah mentioned, is on the western part of our county. So that is ongoing. Now, looking forward, the City Council will meet this coming Tuesday to explore further what we want to do going forward in terms of looking at this incident. The council will be appointing an independent review committee that will be focused on reviewing the water outage and assess infrastructure needs and the city's response to establish what can be done to prevent future issues and improve response efforts. In other words, looking at the cause of this incident, determining what need to happen in order to prevent this from ever happening again, and also how to improve our communications. Does that mean we need technology advances so that we have more real-time information as to how each customer is affected, and then how to communicate with customers? As you know, we work with AVL alerts, but what we've learned through this process is that the communication expectation have not been met, and we need to do a better job. The independent review committee will be a multidisciplinary committee and include subject matter experts and impacted water customers. And so what that means is you're going to be looking at a committee that knows a lot about water infrastructure and water delivery services, sort of the engineering aspects of it, but then also some folks representing impacted customers, whether residential customers or business customers. I personally am also interested in seeing folks who can handle crisis communications and also crisis response. So, how do you determine when and at what point are you delivering water to folks or other crisis response efforts that might be needed? Again, the council will be meeting on January 10th, so that'll be our first opportunity to take action on that effort going forward. And because this outage, as you've heard, has affected customers who don't reside in the city limits, who are out in the county but are still municipal water customers, it is very appropriate for us to include the county in this looking forward effort. And the county commission is actually asked to appoint a couple folks to this review committee. Also, as you may know, the emergency response effort is a county and city collaboration. So there we're overlapping in our efforts, and it makes sense to come together to look at this event and then how to do better going forward. I'm going to attend the county commission meeting tonight because they are meeting tonight, and I know they would like to discuss this. I'll be there to talk with them and answer any questions. So thank you again to our community for your patience and support as we work to address this and to conclude restoring service to everyone in our community, and then taking those next steps looking forward to learn how to prevent this from ever happening again, and what needs we're going to have to make that happen. If there's any questions, we can try to answer those.
Yeah, Mayor, it's here with News 13. Right now, the Infant Candler area, when do we see the water being restored to full capacity at this point? Do you have a timeline?
So I think what you heard earlier, Ms. Campbell talking about, there are tanks out there that had to be filled in order to create enough water pressure to serve the community. This is due to our mountainous terrain. We have to use a series of tanks throughout the city that have to be pressurized, filled, and then be able to serve those communities. That has happened, and water is moving now into that system. In terms of an exact timeline, I'm looking back there at the water director. I don't know if he can better put a timeline on it, but I don't want to hazard a guess because they have the latest and greatest information on the restoration effort. So David Melton is here, our water director, and David, maybe you can speak to the timeline in terms of restoration.
Good evening, David Melton, Director of Water Resources for the City of Asheville. We are projecting, and our goal is 24 to 48 hours. We'll have the west fully restored.
I'm just going to follow up. So we've heard that timeline before. We've heard multiple timelines to be exact. So how can we have faith that this timeline will be concrete, unlike the other ones which have fallen flat?
Sure, this is a much smaller area than we were working with previously. It is one pressure zone, which I know that's probably a little too technical there, but one area probably is a better way to put that. And we know the pumps are running and we know the tanks are filling. So we've got a better feel for that. We're actually rising the tank a half a foot to a foot an hour. So that's where we're gauging that.
Can I ask, how many residents do you estimate are still affected by not having water or having enough pressure?
And that one's a hard one to answer just because of our elevation and topography here. So folks at lower elevation are going to get water first, just the way the system's laid out. So I wish I could give you a better answer, but I don't have that.
You have no sense of an estimate of in the thousands? You can't estimate at all?
No, I wouldn't feel comfortable doing that.
And my second question, it was alluded to that it's about filling up storage tanks. I'm wondering, to the best of your knowledge, was there a singular point of failure, or were there more than one point of failure in the system?
There were multiple points. We had a lot of things going on at the same time. Like we said before, we had asked customers to drip their faucets, which is perception, right? Drip one faucet, maybe more faucets were dripping, we don't know. We had some breaks on our side. We had private breaks on customers' private side, sprinkler systems, other things like that. So we had a multitude of things that happened at one time. Then our plant, which was in operation during this process, went down as well.
Were these breaks all can you attribute them all to weather, or at this point, can you say any of them might be structural issues with the system itself?
I think maybe a combination of both. Definitely, the weather was a driver in that. And when you have freezing weather, the ground freezes and that thaws out, the ground shifts and moves, and that causes breaks as well, which is normal for a water system.
So are we now saying it might have been an infrastructure issue that kind of exacerbated the situation?
No,
No.
no.
There's been some speculation that, obviously, I know last time on Saturday I mentioned about Hendersonville not having the same issue. Obviously, Basin is in what we did here in the mountains. Was there any chance for the city to draw water from those lines or that area out there to help fill our systems a little bit faster?
We actually contacted Hendersonville and have been in contact with Hendersonville, and they were able to provide us maybe 1 million gallons a day, which would help, but we were already using our pump in another location. So, the help was there, but on the tail end of that part of the system, we didn't decide to get that way, I guess is a good way to put that.
So that if we have those resources out there, why can't the city bring a water tanker truck, so to speak, to help refill our system? Do we not contract through someone else?
The system is just way too big for that. Just to give you an example, for the western portion, that's like 9.5 million gallons that had to be refilled. Tankers usually carry around, this is just an estimate, around 4,000 pounds or 4,000 gallons. So it would have took multiple convoys of tankers to be able to make that effective.
But could that hypothetically still be a possibility to do?
Not doing the math there.
Anything's possible, right? But realistically,
9 million.
yeah.
I'm kind of curious how you know that it wasn't an infrastructure issue. One of the questions I had was, how old is the system, the piping system, the delivery system of water, and how can you be so sure that it just not, at least in one element, a system of aged pipes and other system components?
Sure, and age is always a factor in our evaluations and where we're replacing pipes every day, right? That's just part of what our capital projects does. Age is one factor in that. If you think about, if you buy a piece of equipment and it says this is good for 5 years, and I'm just using an example here, it's good for 5 years. But if you really look at it, it's good for 5 years at 8 hours of use a day. So that's another factor how you're using it. And we have high pressures here. Our average system pressure is 170 pounds. Now let's take an average from 400 down, average together. So that's another factor. So age is always a consideration, but in this case, a lot of the infrastructure is newer infrastructure. So,
David, John Boyle with Asheville Watchdog. We're a week into this, as you well know, a lot of frustration out there. How would you rate your department's performance, and what do you feel like you've learned from this episode?
let me first start by answering the first part of that question. The staff that I'm honored to lead is bar none the best I've ever been around in my 20-plus years in this business. So I'll say that first, and if you can ask me the second part. Again.
Just what do you feel like the main lessons that you're taking away from this for moving forward for improvements and preventing this from happening again?
Sure. Throughout this event, we've been gathering information, part of that, and we mentioned the committee that's being formed, which I really think is a positive thing to have fresh eyes looking at this and evaluating what we did. But internally, for the Water Resources Department specifically, we will be doing a root cause analysis as well internally to see, and there's always something to learn from every incident that's happened, right? Whether it's just a normal main break we have or an incident like this. So there's always lessons learned that we will be compiling this information and reviewing. And with the advisory committee, with eyes on it, getting them to look at what we're doing too, to get the best possible result and the best implementation and suggestions moving forward.
More immediately, though, say we have another cold snap in early February. is this going to happen again?
We've already got our plans in place for that. We had to get through this issue first, right? Take advantage of some of this warm weather that we're having. But we've got plans for heat tracing and getting heat sources in so chemical lines don't freeze, sprinkler systems don't bust, things that we've never faced. The plant's been online since 1999. Those plans are already in place, and we'll be implementing those post-haste when we get past getting water restored, which is job one for us.
Carlos Flores, News 4. In terms of what you've seen across the country and other people kind of facing similar situations on a consistent basis, or anything you can see from them that you might start implementing here in Asheville to help along with this process to prevent something like this happening again?
Absolutely. That's a great question, because I've been in touch with our partners and our neighbors from across the state. Many other water systems have faced the same thing. We have one neighbor in the east that had 31 breaks in one day. So a lot of people have been struggling with this. One utility in upstate Carolina, South Carolina, gave me a call and said they had to send their regulators a note because they have been over their capacity for 3 straight days, and they're totally wholesale. So that's all wholesale customers. So that's all customer side leaks that they were facing.
So anywhere in particular that you feel like could possibly you're kind of drawing inspiration from moving forward?
Sure, and we have organizations across this state where we get together and share information. And even during this, there's been a lot of phone calls going back and forth, trading ideas, offering suggestions, even offering help to each other.
All right, guys, that's going to do it for us today for the 4 p.m. update. We thank you for joining us. I want to remind the community that recordings of these press conferences are available on our YouTube channel, City of Asheville YouTube channel. We also welcome community members to stay up to date on the latest information through our AVL alert system, our city social media, and our homepage of the City of Asheville website as well. So thank you.